Hey everyone, I'm a big fan of anodized aluminum. My computer is anodized aluminum, my favorite phone is anodized aluminum, most of the DIY is anodized aluminum. I would drape myself in anodized aluminum if it was socially acceptable. Recently I found a way to get even more of this material into my life by making this anodized aluminum monitor stand that's affordable, customizable, and that you can make yourself. So last year I picked up one of these studio displays that Apple makes to replace an old dying monitor. The studio display comes with a stand by default that's tilt adjustable, which is aluminum and it looks great, and for most people it's a really good solution, but for me it doesn't go quite high enough for it to be ergonomic for my uses. So I would have to upgrade to the height adjustable stand, which is an additional $400, and compared to the now infamous $1,000 Pro Display XDR stand, it's a bargain. But even for me, someone who's obsessed with anodized aluminum, that $400 is a little bit more than I'm willing to pay for something that still doesn't quite go as high as I want as a taller person. And this got me thinking, is Apple really the only company that's making anodized aluminum monitor stands that are somewhat height adjustable? Most monitors do come with a stand out of the box, and often that stand is height adjustable, but more often than not, you're going to be finding materials like plastic as opposed to metal. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have more premium monitor stands, and they're more like monitor arms that are highly adjustable, made out of premium materials like steel with nice finishes. But the problem with these is that on the design front, I find that they take inspiration less from Dieter Rams and more from the General Grievous school of industrial design, and it's just not really my thing. And it seems like there must be some way to get a middle option that is made out of anodized aluminum, but also affordable. But there isn't, so I'm going to make my own. This is the monitor arm that I've been using for the past couple of years, and there's a couple things that I really like about it that I'd like to replicate with this project. Number one is it clamps to the desk. So it makes the footprint of the monitor arm really low, which means I can store random tools and books and stuff underneath the monitor. It also has this cantilever arm, which leaves all the space underneath open for like the things I said before, books and tools and stuff. So I want to be able to customize the position, but once I find the position I need, I want to lock it in place and have it be semi-permanent. I don't need full adjustability, and that's what this has. So it just has a couple of screws like this one where when you loosen it, you can adjust the height, and that's basically it. Once you lock this in place, it's not going anywhere. So really where I'm at now is thinking about how can I take this overall feature set and translate it into something that's made out of the material that I want, that also looks good, but critically is also affordable for me to make, and maybe hopefully like for other people to make as well. There are kind of two questions that I come back to, which is what makes Apple's solution so expensive? And two, what can I cut to make my solution affordable? So it's no secret that Apple is using a CNC process to manufacture their monitor stands. And what that means is that it comes from a single chunk of aluminum. Think about the block of aluminum that you'd have to start from to end up with this shape. Not only that, but consider the time and the tooling it would take to go from that giant block of aluminum down to the final product and then into finishing. If I can substitute that process for a cheaper one, it seems like I could reduce the cost of this by like 80% and make it actually affordable and attainable and still meet all of my other goals. And you might have already guessed where I'm going with this, but rather than using that expensive, time-consuming CNC process, what if we used a cheap, affordable, commonplace manufacturing process and went with extruded aluminum? I'm pretty confident that with something like this, we can make a monitor stand that is anodized aluminum, but super affordable and then also completely customizable. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. Really, the design portion of this is straightforward. I just need a vertical piece and a horizontal piece, some way to attach them, a way to attach it to the desk, and then a way to attach the monitor to the arm. So I'm going to start thinking about those things.
The main structural element of this monitor stand is this chunky 2" by 2" T-slot rail, which has a beautiful clear anodized finish and completely dwarfs the 2020 rail that I'm accustomed to working with. The beauty of using standardized framing rails like this is that construction is dead simple. These two rails came cut to length to replicate the cantilever design of my old monitor arm, and I'm just securing them in place with a matching surface bracket and 8 screws. For some extra reinforcement, I'm adding this diagonal brace, which should take some of the load off of the surface bracket screws. To secure the monitor to the stand, I found this pivoting and rotating VESA adapter, which has exactly the functionality we need. But at $65, it's also the most expensive single component in the project. To secure this all to the desk while keeping the footprint small, I think the standalone C-clamp, similar to the one on my old monitor stand, should work perfectly. These parts do share a problem though. There's no standardized solution for mounting them to the rails. The mounting holes simply don't align with the T-slots, so I have to figure out a custom solution for this. I jumped into Fusion 360 and made a couple of adapter plates that each feature two sets of holes, one which aligns with the T-slots on the rails, and another corresponding to their respective components. After a bit of printing, these adapter plates are attached to the rail using these spring-loaded slide-in nuts. I'm using the adapter plate to secure the bottom half of the C-clamp flush with the rail, and then I can sandwich the desk between the bottom of the vertical rail and then the top of the clamp. This 3D printed base prevents the sharp aluminum from digging into my desk. The VESA mount works just about the same way, except that the VESA mount screws are screwed directly into the 3D printed adapter plate.
So with the clamp and the VESA mount added on, you might be thinking, hey, this is starting to look pretty close to a finished product. And that's partially true. You might also be thinking, hey, hold on a second. These parts are 3D printed. Is that really strong enough to hold up a heavy aluminum monitor? And the answer to that is no, they're not. But I have something else planned for the real thing. I don't think I've really talked about this before, but I actually don't really have that many tools in my shop. I'm pretty much limited to just a couple of 3D printers. I have a drill, I have a soldering iron, I have a couple of hand saws, but that's basically it. So when I get to a stage in a project like this, where I've gone as far as I can with the tools that I have, basically once I've 3D printed some prototypes, I get kind of stuck. And in those situations, what I basically need is to jump from the prototype that I'm using to achieve like a proof of concept all the way up to a finished part that I can actually implement in my design. There's a service that's perfect for parts like this that I'm going to use on this project, and it's called Send. And if you're a fan of BattleBots, you probably already know who I'm talking about. So basically what I can do is I can upload a design that I've already tested. I can just send that same drawing that I've been working off of to them and specify things like the thickness, the material, the finish, everything that I need to make it a production ready part. Actually, I did a little bit of time traveling in this video. So this part that I've been holding up as my 3D printed part, this is actually the steel powder coated part from Send. So really reinforces like this is exactly the part that I prototyped in steel. And I also have the part for the VESA mount, and these 4 holes right here are the ones that are tapped. So these are ready to receive the screws, and it'll be a super secure mount. So now I need to swap out all the 3D printed parts for the steel parts. And it's kind of cool because with 3D printing, you can do the prototyping at home, do that iteration very cheaply and quickly on your own. And then when you're ready for that final part, you basically have this like production level factory sitting, waiting for you, and you just upload your design and say, okay, start up the factories, like get this going and send it back to me, and you end up with parts like this. I think it's time to get this thing up, and then we can attach the monitor, which is going to be a little scary. Oh no. Rigidity. Whew.
I've been testing out this solution over the past year or so, and after that time I have developed some thoughts. First, I ended up modifying this design a little bit. First, I swapped out the 2" by 2" horizontal arm for a 1" by 2" one. This moves the monitor back by an inch, and the extra depth is definitely appreciated when you have a shallow desk like mine. Second, I found that the diagonal brace just isn't necessary. The surface bracket is strong enough, and plus we can save a few bucks while making height adjustments that much easier. But the biggest change is that I've ditched the cantilever design altogether in favor of a singular central column. But not this little one. This one. This glorious behemoth is 4 by 2" of anodized aluminum extrusion, and it's the solution I've settled on after all of my experimenting. Why? Well, I initially said I liked the cantilever design because I can store objects underneath the stand, but since then I've come to realize that I can do one better and do storage directly on the stand. One of the great things about T-slot rails is the ability to attach just about anything anywhere along the tracks. Need tool storage? Design a 3D printed holster and just bolt it anywhere. How about some cable management? I made these slide-in clips designed specifically just for these 4 cables, and it only took me about 20 iterations. And there's a lot more. I have these screwdriver bits that I use just about every day, and they tend to just float around my desk. But now with this bit holder, they'll be nice and organized on my monitor stand. How about a phone stand that doubles as post-it note storage? Or a headphone holder to keep bulky headphones off the desk? Or a magnetic mount for storing things like earbuds or digital Oh, maybe those should stay over here. What I've come to appreciate most about this stand is that it really enables you to extend it however you want by creating your own attachments like these. If you end up making one of these monitor stands, you can find all of these parts on Printables, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what other add-ons you come up with. All you really need are a couple of these spring-loaded drop-in nuts, and personally I've been using these beautiful 1/4-inch screws and then countersinking them so that they're flush with the surface. And of course, as always, I'm using my favorite matte black filament. The parts list is in the description, and I'll be working on some assembly instructions, which I'll add down there too. The only parts that weren't off the shelf and generic are now available in my store thanks to Send Cut Send. I have a limited number of these for now, so if you want them, go get them. I'm really curious to see what your version of this solution looks like. What configuration works for you? What would you do differently? What additional add-ons do you see yourself making? As for me, I really like the clean, simple approach, so I'm sticking with the cable management in the back, bit storage in the front, and a headphone holder on the side.
So I've been trying to think of like a shorthand name that I can use to refer to this thing, and I think I just like naming stuff, and so I'm going to call this the Monolith. And I think the Monolith has been a pretty successful project. I got all the features that I stated that I wanted at the beginning. I got big chunks of aluminum on my desk, which is great. And I was able to do it at right around $200, which is roughly half the price of Apple's height adjustable monitor, so that's also a win. I did want to mention that I'm only able to offer these adapter plates because I asked Send Cut Send for a discount, and they gave me one in exchange for talking about my process and how Send Cut Send services fit into it. These brackets should work with any monitor, so you don't have to get the studio display. Anything with a standard face mount should work. I recommend using the one you already have. And I should also mention that the same plates will support either the single column or the cantilever design. Alright, that does it for this project. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video where I think I'm going to take on what could be the ultimate add-on for this monitor stand. See ya.